Well, that didn't last so long. What is up, you guys? It's your boy Zilla. And today, well, as you guys might have seen from the intro, well, we have that from the truck already. And then today we have a 370Z that came in for gallery gasket, water pump. Pretty much all I offer for these cars, which is the gallery gasket, water pump combo together. So he's gonna get that, and then he has some codes that I'm gonna check out before we even start working on the car. And I'm gonna show you guys these little details that this car has. I guess the guy just bought it. I'm not sure how much he got it for, but it has its details. Well, so far we got P0011. Majority of these times on these cars, on the VHR, it usually ends up being the gallery gasket. So we're gonna go ahead and start with that. My boy already changed out the cam sensor and I believe the VDC solenoid. So he's still giving them the same code. So we for sure know we can move on to the gallery gasket. And then he has this one, which he didn't tell me about, but I feel like I know what it is already. And we'll go ahead and check that out right now. Well, it does look like someone else opened up the front timing cover. I don't know if you guys can see it right there. There's a bunch of VD or RTV. Doesn't look OEM, but now I know that. Also right here in the front. And then that little issue he was having is coming from this plug right here. He does have test pipes, and then he has these weird looking bungs right there. So I don't know what that's about. And then, well, there is a lot of issues here on this one. I see a lot of exposed wires over there on the top. You guys can see that. Let me take you guys up there. Over there. That's crazy. And then right here, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing to it right now, but oh damn, look at that piece of subframe missing right there. But I just want to show all you guys what kind of cars come in the shop, and then what I have to deal with sometimes, because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes these customers come in and then once they pick up their car, a couple days later they start telling me, hey, this wasn't on my car, and I have pictures before I even touch the car, and then I let them know, well, I think these pictures show otherwise or say otherwise. But yeah, first things first, I like to start with the harmonic balancer, not harmonic balancer, the main pulley bolt, since everything's still nice and tight. As far as the serpentine belt, sometimes I'm saying sometimes because since the car's been worked on, a lot of times a lot of people don't like to tighten them to torque specs or torque them to their spec. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen it with my new, well, that's not even new, but just my snap-on wrench, and then we'll see how it goes from there. If not, I'll bring out I'll start taking everything apart and start doing it the other way. All right, y'all, so the bolt was too tight, so I actually did that right. So I'm noticing right now these clips are a little broken right here for the cam sensors, and then someone decided to break the fan radiators where these clips go. I mean, it doesn't really matter, it doesn't affect the purpose of the fan radiator, but still, just be careful when you guys are taking these off. I'd rather just rip the what's it called, the zip tie, before I break the fan shroud. So yeah, almost there. So I just want to make this very clear. A lot of people I saw on the comments on my previous videos saying that they like how I did the gallery gasket without taking the front radiator support or taking any parts from the front off in order to get to any of the parts in the front of the vehicle. I mean, in the front of the motor. So pretty much everything else is straightforward. Couple bolts here for the power steering bolt, which is just two for the alternator, 3 for the AC compressor, and then 3 for the brackets for the pulley. And then pretty much everything's just straightforward. Everyone just always gets stuck either taking off this tube, since you can't really take it off straight. You have to take it off at an angle. So people are always like, well, you can't just pull it, you have to, you know, take off the front radiator support. So I'm going to show you a way to take this water tube off without having to touch any of the front radiator support. So I shouldn't be doing this because this is my little hack. I'm pretty sure other people do have their hacks, but pretty much what you guys are going to do, let me see if I can get this stuck, and then let me just tweak it, and I'll pick it up right after this upside down. So pretty much what you guys want to do is just get this tube stuck when it's in there. Obviously I already took it off, and then this water neck, once this tube is stuck,
just twist this little water neck either counterclockwise or clockwise, it doesn't really matter. And then you're gonna be able to get this tube unstuck, rotate it out, and then it should give you enough clearance to take off this water neck. I wish I had another extra set of hands in order to show you guys, but nothing's wrong with this tube. Still good to go. I feel like I've done these videos so many times, but I'll repeat myself over and over again. Once everything is off, last part to do, if this bolt isn't that easy to take off the first time, would be our last step before we take off all the 10mm bolts and the 14mm bolts holding this timing cover. And then we can move underneath, take off the oil pan, which are another 10mm, and then two 12mm bolts that go into the front timing cover from underneath the motor. Well, as suspected, this timing cover was opened up. I can tell RTV is different. This isn't your OEM. RTV will never come off like this. Also, the oil pan came off a lot easier than expected. And sure enough, also, when we took off the oil pan, would you look at this? Piece of gallery gasket right here. So that's so weird that they opened up this motor but didn't change out the gallery gasket. They probably did it a while back. Probably water pump went out and they didn't replace the gallery gasket. So, that's weird. But now I know for a fact that this car was low on oil pressure, especially because this is a pretty big piece on the gallery gasket. So if it would have just been tiny little pieces like this, okay. But that's a pretty big piece. So plus I still haven't opened up the motor, so there's probably pieces still hanging in there. So let's check it out. All right, well, just as suspected, some of these 14mm bolts on the timing cover are loose, so it could explain why we have a lot of leaks everywhere. But yeah, so this one's loose, one over there was loose, but it's all good. We'll take care of that after. Well, would you look at that right there? That one is blown. So we gotta take this one off, lower one, and pretty much get everything ready, and then tomorrow we'll finish her up. New gallery gasket, new water pump, and seal it back up. Well, pretty much took off these plates for the gallery gasket. Both gallery gasket is off, got these cleaned up, and time to put the EPS gallery gasket on without any RTV, just like that. New bolts also, and we're good to go. Put on the water pump right after too. It's back, you guys. And like I said, we're gonna start putting on the gallery gasket, slap it on, torque it down, and pretty much seal up everything else. But what I did find right now on the front timing cover, which would be right here, front timing cover obviously has some leaking issues from the VDC gaskets right here. So I did let my customer know, but he doesn't want to change them out. He just wants to change out the bottom one, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I guess you're just gonna save a couple bucks on that. But right now that I have the timing cover off and these are easy to access, this one's actually easy to access on the car, but not this one. This one you have a bracket with the pulley on there coming across it, so you're gonna have to take off the whole front of the motor off so you can access that. So anytime you're doing the gallery gasket, check if these are leaking. If these are leaking, might as well change them out. They're a couple bucks on Z1. Dealership might want like 40 or 50 bucks for them for both. And then this little bad boy right here is only like 15 bucks at O'Reilly's or Z1. So just food for thought, you guys. Well, let's start cleaning this front timing cover, taking off the seals. We'll adjust that seal and we'll go from there. But we got a lot of cleaning to do. The last person that opened this motor up put a lot of RTV on it, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's just gonna be a hard time taking it off. But let's go. And just like that, timing marks are on spot. It don't matter if these aren't aligned, as long as these are put together. See how this one's a little bit forward? I just gotta spin the motor a little bit back and everything will be on time. On the right timing marks, right little nipple right there. I'll show you guys right now. Well, that's crazy. I didn't think I was gonna have the car on today, but I was like, hey, why not? So there you have it. Just gonna let it warm up just to make sure those fans turn on, and then probably tomorrow morning I'll take her out for a spin, because the guy said that at 30, once he drives it for about 30 miles, that code kicks in P0011, which it shouldn't come back anymore. But again, I want to test drive the car right before he comes and picks it up, and there you have it. Now it does have a check engine light because of the O2 sensor, but other than that, we're chilling. So that's a good sign. You guys saw my intro and paid attention. You might have seen the Trailblazer with a little nick on the side. It's just a little nick, not really a small, but you know. Before we get into those details, I'm gonna share with you guys what happened. But before we get into those details, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do have the parts that came in for the Trailblazer, so I'm gonna have to hold off until I tell you guys what happened. Time out. I know I was supposed to talk to you guys about the Trailblazer, which I will do right now, but I'm gonna add this right now. I got my boy Paulie that hit me up. He wanted me to install a couple things on his 370Z. You guys might recognize this 370Z. Let's get to it. Guess who's back? That's right, you guys. My boy Paulie brought his car back. If you guys remember this car, we did the big brake kit with the sport wheels and tires. So my boy Paulie, I guess he's a really big fan of keeping his car clean on the inside. And that's great because sometimes you see these cars clapped out from the inside. So pretty much what we're gonna do today, this car's getting paddle shifters, a Nismo shift knob, and a Nismo e-brake. So far I already got started on it because it's hot in here especially. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue taking off the interior. Shift knob's pretty easy. You just take apart the bottom bezel. This little bottom plastic part, you just pull it down. Then there's one little clip holding it down, which is this little bad boy right here. And it'll pop right off. So let's continue taking off the rest of the interior because I got a long way to go. Well, pretty much now that I have the center console off, I'm left with the e-brake down here, which is only held down by 3 bolts that are 12mm bolts right here. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna loosen up this nut right here that's holding up pretty much the, let me see if I can show you guys, the cable right here that holds on to the 2 cables that come from the driver's side and passenger side wheel from the rear. So we're going to loosen this up so it can give us some extra slack, and then I can go ahead and start taking off the 12mm bolts. It'll give me enough slack to take off the e-brake up forward and then get to these cables right here and just slip them out. Now it's really important, if you've never done a job like this, as far as interior jobs and working on the brake system, it's very important just to take pictures, and if you see something's not right, ask questions. The last thing you want to do is you know, mess something up, especially the e-brake, the e-brake is really important, although it's not really on you know, a daily use, which I hope you guys are using your e-brake on a daily use. So just make sure if you guys get stuck, just ask for questions or ask for help. Don't be afraid. Well, you guys, I actually found a shortcut and I didn't pick up the camera again like I usually don't. Well, like I was saying, if you take this nut out all the way, you can actually slip this cable off. You can slip it off, and all you have to do is just pull the e-brake up and it'll slide right off. And that means you don't have to mess with underneath the car, which these bolts are holding onto the cable bracket, and then you don't have to go underneath the car and, you know, take off the cables from this cable. So that just made everything a lot much easier, but it's still a little headache getting into here. Not a headache, but it just takes some work because you got to take off all this shit. But there it is. Now you can adjust it to however you want. I personally like my e-brakes just coming up just a little bit, so I left it like that for him. His old one was coming up all the way up here, which I don't like because all that extra slack, it's not necessary. Plus it looks a lot cleaner when you just have to lift up your e-brake just a little bit, which is right there, you know, instead of all the way up here. So there you have it. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm adjusting the e-brake. It's just that I'm adjusting the height from it, but you still gotta adjust the drum shoes for the e-brake. Those are probably bad already because I'm pretty sure no one's changed them out. And I think a lot of people don't change them out unless you're drifting all the time and you know how to do them, then okay. But yeah, so okay, I messed up the first time, but yeah, so you slide this little piece of plastic on, then you can go ahead and slap this bad boy on, which this would go like that. Smack it down, cover on. There you have it. New shifter boot, not even shifter boot, but just a new little shifter knob, I guess, and then the e-brake. Look at that, Nismo colors. Now we just gotta change this steering wheel. But don't forget, we still got to do these paddle shifters, and I'm going to show you guys how to modify the base model bezel to put some paddle shifters on there. So once you take off the bottom piece of the steering wheel, it's 3 Phillips bolts, one right here, and one in the bottom down here. So take those bad boys off and it'll leave you with this right here. Well, guess what? Bummer. We can't install the paddle shifters only because the lower bezel, I thought I was gonna be able to make it work, but the way I was thinking, and then when I took it off, it's not gonna work. It's gonna look really ugly and really tacky. So I'd rather just order him the sport trim package bezel, so we can have it installed properly. He's also gonna install a new steering wheel. Well, I'm gonna install a new steering wheel for him. So whenever he comes for that, I think hopefully by that time that bezel will be here, and we can install the paddle shifters and the steering wheel at the same time. And then I think he wants to do a couple more little things, little details. I like how he's taking really good care of his car. It's been good to him, so I'm assuming he's taking good care of it. So hell yeah. So let me get with him right now, and then we'll go from there. I'm actually gonna go take this car over to the body shop right now so I can just get it looked at on his front bumper, because he wants to paint a little piece right there, and I'll show you guys right there. So let's take her right across the street so we can get this little piece right there looked at, and then that's pretty much it.
And now that you guys saw that those little clips, I didn't want to just make it a separate video. I thought I'd just add it onto this one because I didn't want to make this video just about the gallery gasket, which I'll touch bases on right now. Also, it was not just the gallery gasket. It had a couple more things going on there that I did not like. So back to the Trailblazer. So yeah, they ended up hitting the Trailblazer, I guess, on the passenger side. Not I guess, but on the passenger side. I'm not gonna get too much into detail until we get everything sorted out. Just know the Trailblazer is gonna get fixed up probably this week, not next week. Obviously new parts. I'm gonna probably upgrade a couple little things such as the headlights, the splitter, obviously new bumper, and then I'm also gonna delete the LED light bar that's on the bottom. That thing looks terrible. That's just me. It looks terrible. It's not even an OEM. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And yeah, but let me talk to you guys about the 370Z. So the 370Z, what it had wrong originally was obviously the gallery gasket, and it was having problems with the VDC timing components. So pretty much finished the car. It was still in limp mode, which kind of sucked, and it was a bummer because I was pretty much ready to call the customer, have them get it picked up. It was running. I did take it out for a test drive, but actually, like, I noticed that every time I would do a pull, it would go into limp mode, and then it would just, for some reason, take itself off of limp mode. So that was weird. So brought it back into the shop, started checking some more stuff out, and I noticed this. I'm gonna play a small little clip right here.
It's probably nothing.
So pretty much what you guys see in that little clip, it tells you someone was already messing with this motor. It was a salvage motor, and let me tell you guys, this was not from an accident. Someone actually got a test light and started poking at it, at the wires, exposing the wires, and just leaving them like that. And so every time the car, you would do a pull in it, obviously the motor moves anytime you do a pull, especially with OEM motor mounts. You know, over time the motor's gonna be moving a lot more, and there's a lot more play in the motor mounts. So if it would have had solid motor mounts, then that would have been a different thing. But in this case, OEM motor mounts, anytime you do a pull, making contact with the timing cover, which has ground wires to it from the battery to the frame, from the frame to the motor. But yeah, let that be a lesson to you guys. If you guys are gonna do some messing with your wiring, just make sure if you guys are gonna expose wires, just make sure you guys cover them back up. Make sure you put the right wires where they're supposed to go, and that way you can avoid a lot of issues. But with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. If you guys haven't entered the raffle I got going on Instagram, go ahead and hit me up. Fill those spots up. It's been already a month. I can't believe you guys don't want to get E85 for cheap. I'm doing $10 a spot. So I got the injectors. I'm probably gonna add second place and third place. I'm not gonna be fuel components like other injectors or anything like that. It's gonna be something random, but that way you guys can get motivated to at least enter. I got like 15 spots left. You guys gotta enter, because I want to give someone lucky out there some injectors so they can go E85, save some money, and make more power at the dyno. Or if you're doing a street tune, it don't matter. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.